High above the ancient city of Cusco, where the Andes rise in silent tiers of stone and cloud, there stands a structure that does not yield easily to explanation. It does not crumble into neat historical categories. It does not align comfortably with expectation. Massive blocks of rock, some weighing over 100 tons, interlock with a precision so exact that even a blade cannot pass between them. There is no mortar, no binding agent, only stone against stone, shaped with an accuracy that feels almost deliberate beyond necessity. And this is where the contradiction begins. We are told that this site, known as Sacsayhuamán, was constructed by the Inca civilization in the 15th century. People without iron tools, without the wheel in practical use, without written language in the conventional sense. And yet, here, on this exposed ridge overlooking their capital, they shaped stone in ways that seem to resist the limits we associate with their technology. What if our understanding is incomplete? What if the tools we believe they had are not enough to explain what they left behind? The conventional narrative is clear, grounded, and widely accepted. Sacsayhuamán was a ceremonial and defensive complex, constructed during the reign of Pachacuti and expanded by his successors. It formed the head of a puma-shaped layout of Cusco, a symbolic design embedded into the city itself. The walls, zigzagging in 3 massive terraces, were built using locally quarried limestone. Thousands of workers, organized under the Inca labor system known as MITA, are believed to have cut, transported, and fitted these stones over decades. And yet, the deeper one looks, the more the surface begins to shift. The stones are not uniform. They are irregular, multi-angled, each one uniquely shaped to fit precisely with its neighbors. There is no repeating pattern, no standardized block size. Some stones have as many as 12 or more sides, each edge meeting another with remarkable accuracy. This is not crude stacking. This is not approximate alignment. This is precision, executed at a scale that challenges intuition. And this is where the discomfort begins to grow. The first accounts of Sacsayhuamán from outside the Inca world came with the arrival of Spanish chroniclers in the 16th century. Men like Pedro Cieza de Leon described the site with a mixture of awe and confusion. They documented the immense labor it must have required, yet struggled to explain how such stones were moved and shaped. Some suggested that tens of thousands of workers were involved. Others hinted at techniques lost even to the Inca themselves. But here is the unsettling part. Even among those early observers, there was an implicit recognition that the explanation, mass labor alone, felt insufficient. The stones are too large, the joints too precise, the geometry too complex to be dismissed as the result of effort alone. Effort explains scale. It does not always explain accuracy. Standing at the site today, the environment adds another layer to the mystery. The air is thin, the terrain uneven. The quarry sites are not immediately adjacent. Some stones were transported from distances of several kilometers, across slopes and valleys, without the aid of draft animals capable of pulling such weight. The Inca used ropes, ramps, and human coordination, but the logistics remain staggering. Imagine maneuvering a multi-ton block across rugged Andean terrain, aligning it perfectly with another irregular surface, and then shaping it, stone against stone, until the fit becomes seamless. This is not myth. This is stone. Archaeological studies have provided important insights. Tool marks found on some stones suggest the use of hammerstones, harder rocks used to chip and shape the limestone. Evidence of abrasion techniques indicates that surfaces were gradually smoothed through repeated contact. There are also signs that the Inca employed a method of fitting stones by placing them together, marking high points, removing them, and then refining the surfaces iteratively. A slow process, a deliberate process, but even here the question lingers. Could such methods alone achieve this level of precision across such massive blocks? Measurements taken at Sacsayhuamán reveal joints so tight that they have withstood centuries of seismic activity. Seismic resistance is often cited as a key advantage of this construction style. The irregular shapes allow the stones to shift slightly during earthquakes, absorbing energy rather than cracking. It is an elegant solution, one that suggests not only skill but understanding. Whether that understanding was empirical or theoretical remains uncertain. But the result is undeniable: walls that have endured where later constructions have failed. And yet, another layer complicates the narrative. Some researchers have noted differences in construction style within the site itself. The largest stones, forming the lower terraces, appear more precisely fitted than smaller stones in upper sections. This has led to speculation that different phases of construction, or even different groups of builders, were involved. It raises a subtle but persistent question. Did the Inca inherit part of this site from an earlier culture? Or did their own techniques evolve over time, reaching a peak that was later simplified? Mainstream archaeology remains cautious. There is no definitive evidence of a pre-Inca origin for Sacsayhuamán. The site aligns with Inca architectural principles, and historical records place its construction firmly within their empire. The scale of labor, while immense, is consistent with what we know of Inca societal organization. The absence of iron tools does not imply inability. Stone can be shaped with stone, given enough time and skill. And time, in the Inca world, was not measured in urgency but in continuity. But alternative interpretations persist, not as claims of impossibility, but as questions of method. Some researchers explore the possibility that the Inca used advanced techniques of measurement and templating, allowing them to replicate complex shapes with high accuracy. Others suggest that natural fractures in the limestone were exploited, reducing the need for extensive shaping. There are also experimental archaeologists who attempt to recreate similar joints using only period-appropriate tools, demonstrating that such precision, while difficult, is not beyond reach. Still, the tension remains, because what is theoretically possible is not always what was practically achieved, at least not at this scale, not with this consistency. History does not break easily, but here it bends. The absence of written records detailing construction methods leaves a silence that invites interpretation. The Inca communicated through quipu, knotted cords used for record keeping, but these do not preserve technical instructions in a way we can easily decode. What we have instead are stones. Silent, immovable, and exact. They do not explain themselves. They simply exist, demanding to be understood. And perhaps that is the deeper challenge of Sacsayhuamán. Not that it defies explanation entirely, but that it resists simplification. It sits at the edge of what we consider achievable with known tools and methods, forcing us to reconsider assumptions about technological development. Progress is often imagined as linear, a steady accumulation of capability. But sites like this suggest a different pattern, one of peaks and plateaus, of knowledge gained and sometimes lost. As the light shifts across the Andes and shadows trace the angles of each stone, the structure reveals its quiet complexity. There is no single mystery here, no hidden mechanism waiting to be uncovered. Instead, there is a convergence of questions about labor, about technique, about knowledge, about what it means to build with intention in a world without modern machinery. And so we are left not with a conclusion but with a perspective. Sacsayhuamán does not demand belief in the extraordinary. It asks for attention to the precise, to the measured, to the patient accumulation of skill across generations. And yet, even within that framework, something remains unresolved. Because when stone meets stone with such exactness, when weight and form align without visible error, we are forced to confront a simple, persistent thought. Not that the past was more advanced than we imagine, but that it may have been more capable in ways we do not fully understand. And yet, even within this measured explanation, there remains a subtle persistence of unease. Not in the sense of impossibility, but in the sense of scale. The human effort required to shape and position each block still feels almost disproportionate to the tools we can confidently attribute to the period. Archaeology does not deny this difficulty. It contextualizes it. But context does not always dissolve impression. It only frames it differently. Modern engineering studies have occasionally revisited Sacsayhuamán through the lens of structural mechanics, particularly in relation to earthquake resilience. The irregular interlocking stones, once seen as purely aesthetic or symbolic, now appear functionally sophisticated. They distribute force in unpredictable directions, preventing catastrophic failure. In this sense, what appears irregular is in fact highly controlled. Not randomness, but calculated asymmetry. And this distinction matters more than it first appears. Yet even here, a quiet question persists beneath the analysis. Was this knowledge fully conscious in the way we understand engineering today? Or was it the accumulated result of generations of iterative building, trial, observation, refinement, and memory embedded in craft rather than written theory? Cusco today, recognized as a cultural heritage landscape under UNESCO protection, still carries the imprint of this unresolved dialogue between past and present. The stones of Sacsayhuamán remain fixed, unchanged by interpretation, while each generation reapproaches them with new frameworks of understanding. And perhaps that is the final tension they offer, not between mystery and explanation, but between explanation and certainty itself.